What's up, everybody? Back with another professional picks NFL betting video, looking to put together another winning week and bounce back after last week. Of course, like the video if you're enjoying it, subscribe if you like the channel, and comment on what bets you're taking in week 10. Quick review here of week 9, not our best performance. Had the Saints beating up on the Bears, but the Giants really let us down. A couple other games that really fell flat here, but looking to pick it back up in week 10. Still up plenty of units throughout the NFL season and in total. Starting up the first game here, we mentioned that we had the Saints winning last week, and we were right about that. I've had a pretty good read on the Saints so far this year, and I think I'm going to pick them to keep it rolling again this week here. A lot of good things for the Saints in this game. Despite being on the road, I really like their matchup against the Vikings here. Saints are a top 5 graded defense in the NFL right now, with the 3rd best run defense and 4th best pass coverage grade. That's going to be really tough for Josh Dobbs, a quarterback here, who is still getting his footing within this offense. Only started with the team last Tuesday. Has been with them all less than 2 weeks when this game will be played. That's not nearly enough time to learn the full breadth of a playbook. As I said last week, if you are the Vikings and you want to win this game, it should be with the run, whether that be Josh Dobbs or with your running game, to lessen the load on his arm and really just the capabilities of Josh Dobbs as a passing quarterback. But that's going to be very tough against, again, this top 3 rated Saints run defense. The Vikings had a great win last week against the Falcons, put up 31 points, but in that 31 points, they only had 217 yards of passing offense. So I think the score was a little misleading. Part of that is because the Falcons had such a hard time moving the ball, gave the Vikings such good field positioning. While their defense is playing well, I don't think that game is indicative of how good the Vikings team is. They are on a roll, and I think they're due to cool off a little bit. Saints are on a roll too, so you can make the same argument, but I think they're built with a lot more toughness and a lot more power on defense, which I think makes winning a lot more sustainable. I like what's happening on offense for the Saints team as they're really getting Taysom Hill more and more involved in this offense week after week, kind of figuring out that he is this X factor that when this offense starts to get a little sluggish, then they can call his number and he can give it a turbocharge. Derek Carr looking a little bit more comfortable there at quarterback, as well as he recovers week after week from his injury, getting a little more acquainted with secondary receiver Chris Olave, and getting Michael Thomas a healthy dose of catches most weeks outside of week 9. I like the Saints here on the road with some defense and dominating the line of scrimmage and dominating with their defense. I do think this is going to be a close game, but I like 2.5 being on the right side of 3 points here for the Saints to win this game in a close one, likely. Another game that was on the card last week, the Ravens. Similar theme here. We were on the under last week, and we're on the under again against the Browns here. You see, the Browns are a playoff team at 5-3, and the Ravens are winning the division at 7-2. Yet the Ravens are favored by 6.5 points. The Ravens were at home last week against a wild card team sitting at 5 wins with the Seahawks, and they dominated them. A nice school of thought would be that they could do it again, and I think they just might. The Ravens are the #1 scoring defense in all of football. PFF's 3rd best overall defense. All the while they have the 7th best PFF graded offense. This team really is completely well-rounded and firing at all cylinders right now. Lamar Jackson looking to put together another MVP season, and right now I think he is the favorite. Looking at this Browns team, great recipe for an under here, as they are the 6th best overall PFF defense, 3rd best scoring defense, and on the other side of the football, they are the 5th worst overall offense in PFF. They really struggle. While they do have a good offensive line, they're decimated at running back, and they're not getting quite as much production there as they'd like. Deshaun Watson not lighting up the stat sheet in terms of throwing the football, and really reliant on Amari Cooper and a little bit of David Njoku there at tight end, but not many options outside of that. The Ravens will look to take away Cooper, I'm sure, and leave this offense extremely one-dimensional, really play the Ravens' strengths. But I do think with how good this Browns defense is and how good of an X factor and how many X factor players they have in that defense, like Myles Garrett especially, I think this game will go under. The one thing that makes me not take the Ravens to win this game by 6.5 plus, or even tease this game down, is because of the divisional matchup and because the Browns have guys like Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and other Denzel Ward. Just tons of great players in that defense that make them dangerous. I have to believe that the Ravens win this one, but with such a low total, I'm going to stay away. Really like the Ravens, though, but I like the under even more with really good defenses and a poor Browns offense here. Probably a lot of field position battle in this game. Another game here. Lions coming off a bye week, and the Chargers coming off a short week with the Monday Night Football win against the Jets here. What was really impressive with the Chargers against the Jets was their ability to get to Zach Wilson in that pass rush there. I don't think you're going to see the same thing this game. The Lions have the second best overall. They have the best offensive line in football. Just plain and simple. They number 2 highest graded run unit in football and the 3rd highest pass block grade. So this offensive line is really going to do their best to slow down guys like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa that have been on a tear as of late. The Lions, just in general, are a great football team. They've been playing like it this year. 3rd highest overall rating from PFF. Chargers 19th, so slightly below average, but they are trending in the right direction as of late. When you look at this total at 48.5, and you imagine that you can see a lot of passing, a lot of scoring, and the grading and the coverage kind of works out with that storyline, as both these defensive secondaries are about average, floating around the middle of the pack in terms of PFF grade. But I think the real difference here is going to be in the trenches. I mentioned already how great that Lions offensive line is and how good they are at run blocking, and that's going to really play in their favor as this Chargers run defense has been really non-existent lately, and they're a bottom 10 unit in the league. They got away with it against the Jets because, one, the Jets have one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line in football, and the Jets got behind early and weren't able to run the ball and control the clock, forcing Wilson to pass the ball. If the Lions can, one, get a lead, but also limit the down distances, they should find a lot of success running the ball between the tackles with, again, this great, absolutely tremendous offensive line unit with Montgomery and Gibbs, who both have had so much success all year. And then coming off the bye week, too, you had to like their chances even more. Again, with the Chargers with a short week, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator, has been dialing up great plays for Jared Goff in this offense, feeding just about everyone. But most importantly, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has looked unstoppable and a PPR monster. He is the new Keenan Allen, who's been great this year, but he plays just like him in a West Coast offense, tons of receptions and almost unguardable in press coverage and man-to-man. Like the Lions here at 2.5, and I think it's a good win for them off a bye week, even on the road. Said in one of my prior videos this week with Sleewa that I would be not touching the Patriots for the rest of the season, only to backtrack a few minutes later and say I know I'm going to be betting this week, and I really like the Patriots to win this game, but I'm going to tease this past 7 and put this at Patriots +8 in a teaser. I think the Patriots are it's time to buy low on them. It's always time to buy low on them because they're so bad this year. But anytime I see them as a dog in a neutral site, starts to get my mind going, and especially against a poor team like the Colts. The Colts did have a nice win against the Panthers last week, but then again, it was the Panthers. They put up 27 points, but 14 of those were from their defensive unit. This Colts offense only put up 13 points against the Panthers defense. Even the Bears put up more points than that on Thursday night against the Panthers. Granted, the Colts don't need to score as much when their defense is putting up 14 points, but the point still stands that offense struggled against the Panthers defense, and I think it's going to struggle against the Patriots as well. The Patriots are the second best rated run defense in football, and that is really quite contrary to what the Colts want to see. This is a team that wants to run the football as much as they can, control the ball, control the clock with their offensive line in the run game. I think they're going to have a hard time doing that. And on the opposite side of the football, the opposite side of the field, the Patriots play a very similar style of football. Both these teams have quarterbacks that are unreliable, maybe even turnover prone, and not really adept at making the big play. Gardner Minshew certainly more so than Mac Jones. But regardless, both teams want to run the football, and that's the Patriots' relative strength in this game. One of the Colts' weaknesses is that run defense, bottom 10 in the league, while the Patriots have a good their relative strength is their run blocking unit, and they have had some success recently with Ramondre Stevenson back there. I think the tail of this game is going to be the run game with the Patriots controlling it on defense and making opportune moments with their run offense. So I like the Patriots here at +8 on the road in Frankfurt, Germany. Get up early for this one, ladies and gentlemen. The final game I want to talk about is the Monday Night Football game. Bills at home under the lights against the Broncos coming off a bye week. Bills coming off coming off a loss there against the Bengals. This is a must-win game for the Bills. Despite a 5-4 record, they are the 4th best rated PFF team. I think a lot of the woes from this Bills team come from Josh Allen trying to do too much too fast, not really taking what the defense gives him. A little bit is that this team is a little bit one-dimensional, lacking a pure run offense and kind of supplemented with Josh Allen's legs. Nonetheless, this offense is very scary, but the passing offense is by far the most dangerous in this Bills team, which will play very well against a Broncos team that has looked bad outside that Chiefs win they just had. They looked very bad on defense, especially in their secondary. The Broncos have the 2nd worst pass coverage D in all of football, according to PFF. Meanwhile, the Bills have the 2nd best rated passing offense in all football. Again, couple that with a must-win game at home in the cold in Buffalo. This crowd is going to be crazy. I really like Buffalo to get a win here. Even more so in a desperate game against the Bills. They're playing a Broncos defense that is dead last in the league overall. They make teams like the Jets and the Bears look like they have suitable offenses the way their defense gives up points. Imagine what Josh Allen and the Bills will do in this game in a situation where they're getting more and more desperate as this AFC playoff race is heating up. You got the Dolphins that are starting to run away with the division a little bit as the Bills keep dropping losses. And then this AFC North division is not dying away with every team above 500. You got to think 3 of those 4 teams make the playoffs. Even the Chargers in the AFC West are starting to build some momentum. It's getting scarier and scarier for the Bills. Being 500 after Week 10 is not a spot you want to be in if you are a playoff contender, let alone want to make the playoffs at all. I think this Bills team is getting and feeling the desperation as the playoff grows near and we pass the halfway point of the season. I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if the Bills lose this game. I'm putting this one in every single teaser that I make this week. Love the Bills -7 here, teasing it down to -1. So looking at the card, again, putting 3 units on this one because I absolutely love the Bills here. Patriots +8. Again, I think they're due for a win here. Against the Colts team that really struggled to put up points last week, I think that trend will continue against the Patriots defense that is getting desperate as well. A couple great number 1 and number 3 scoring defenses in the league against Cleveland, Baltimore. Cleveland's offense very poor as well. I think being divisional games can be closer than it should be. All of it lends itself to an under. Just hoping to stay away from a defensive touchdown that game, which is very possible given the capabilities of who's on the defensive side for these teams. Saints on the road -2.5. I like the matchup there with how good their defense has been this year and Josh Jacobs having limited time understanding that Minnesota playbook. I think he's going to be relying a lot on TJ Hawkinson, but Demario Davis, one of the best coverage linebackers in the game, should be able to limit him. And then the Lions here at -2.5. For both that and the Saints game, some books might have it at 2.5, some books might have it at 3. I definitely want to be on the right side of the hook and getting these games at 2.5. I like the Lions a lot with how great their offensive line is and how much I think they're going to dominate the game with the run and really keep the ball out of Justin Herbert's hand as much as they can, just running the ball straight down the heart of that Chargers defense. Feeling much better about this week's picks than last week. I'm loving it. I'm predicting some positive units for sure this week and hoping you guys can experience the same. Best of luck in Week 10.